What's happening, everybody? Dave Bowen, the last honest marketer. And today I want to talk to you about a book that I stumbled across last night. And really, I shouldn't say stumbled across. It's really funny. And, most of you know that I believe in God. My beliefs are I believe in God. I'm kind of I don't know what you would say, a different type of Christian. And actually, this book, the way this guy, the beliefs and stuff that this guy had are almost identical to mine. It's almost kind of weird. But, I believe that, and it kind of goes with the law of attraction too. But I do strongly believe that everything happens for a reason, just like you're watching this video right now for a reason. And just like, if you are where you are right now for a reason and because of your own thoughts, because of what you've been thinking, because of the actions and stuff that you've been taking. And so anyways, last night I was talking to a friend of mine, and I have a bunch of bookshelves right here. And I thought I had picked every book out of there that I wanted to read. Well, last night I was talking on the phone, to my buddy. We were just getting ready to get off the phone, and I saw this book, the title sticking out. And it said, The Sermon on the Mount. And I thought, because Earl Nightingale, which is one of my favorite audios, The Strangest Secret, if you have not listened to that, you need to go get that. We're going to have that in our team site here very, very soon. But there's a free version that you can get online if you just Google it. There's a free version you can download online, and that audio is amazing. It's amazing, and something that Earl Nightingale talks about in that audio is that the reason that he calls it the strangest secret is because this secret has been talked about back in the Bible. It was talked about back in the Bible, and he even says that every whatever you call it, every ancient philosopher or whatever you want to call it, disagreed on many things, but there's one thing that they all agreed on, and that is that we become what we think about, and our thoughts dictate our lives, and so he talks about the Sermon on the Mount, the one part where, Jesus says, ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. For every man that asketh, receiveth. For every man that seeketh, findeth. And for every man that knocketh, the door will be open. And he talks about that, and it's so amazing how many times back, especially through Jesus' teachings, that is talked about. Well, that's what this book is about. Okay, it's Emmett Fox, The Sermon on the Mount. And also I have decided that in our team site, and probably I'll put this on my blog too, I'm going to start doing a book of the month club. A lot of people do a book of the week club, but I don't know about you. It's hard for me to read a whole book sometimes in a week. So, to give everybody enough time and all that, we're going to start doing a book of the month club. We're going to be doing, weekly Google Hangouts here very soon. I've got to decide. I'm thinking probably Monday nights is when we're going to do it. But yeah, we'll get that all set up, and I don't know, probably next Monday. Let's say Wednesday. So yeah, probably this coming Monday we'll have our first hangout. But I want to talk about stuff like this on the hangout, mastermind, stuff like that. Well, anyways, this book is just incredible, and what Emmett Fox does is basically he dissects. And hold on a second, let me say this. Emmett Fox, he was born in 1886 and died in 1951, was a scientist, philosopher, and spiritual teacher who lectured widely on his method for tapping the realm of infinite power. His other books include Alter Your Life and Power Through Constructive Thinking. And this book was written in 1934, so it was written, Think and Grow Rich was written in 1937, I think. I'm pretty sure. So it was written right along the same time, and it's funny to me that I've never heard of this book. I've never heard of anybody, that I follow talk about this book. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, and I love Think and Grow Rich. I love Napoleon Hill. I love his teachings. I think this is just as important, if not more important, than the teachings of Napoleon Hill. Because, see, what Emmett Fox talks about in here is the spiritual side of things. And, there's a difference between spirituality and religion. I'm more of a spiritual person. I believe in the teachings of the Bible, but like Emmett Fox says in here, and I'm a Presbyterian. I mean, I go to a Presbyterian church and was confirmed a Presbyterian church. But I believe, and the Presbyterians believe the same thing, that the Bible is not literal, factual, is not necessarily literal factual stories. They're stories. Like, and let me find this because I think this is just awesome. See, the very first chapter in this book is called "What Did Jesus Teach?" And basically, he talks about a lot of really interesting stuff. About how all the organizations and religions that we have today really don't align with Jesus' teachings, because see, Jesus, he didn't believe in, he was one of the most, unorganized teachers and prophets ever to live. He didn't necessarily, and he even said somewhere, that the Sabbath, what was it? The Sabbath was created for the man was not created for the Sabbath, or something, meaning that, the Sabbath was created for you to do what you want to do. It wasn't created for you to not work or to, you know what I mean? It was created for you to relax and do what you want to do. So if you want to work, you want to whatever, you can do that. But so all the organizations that we have today and all these, beliefs that I can't think of anything in particular right now, but are not really aligned with Jesus' teachings. Meaning, we need to not focus so much on the certain things like communion and things like that. We need to focus on living Christianity, on living Jesus' teachings. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. It's hard to put that into words, but let's see. I'll find this here. It talks about the story of Adam and Eve. Okay. History, biography, lyrical, and other poetic forms are various mediums through which the spiritual message is given in the Bible, and above all, the parable is used to convey spiritual and metaphysical truth. In some cases, what was never intended to be more than a parable was at one time taken for literal statement of fact, and this often made the Bible seem to teach things which are opposed to common sense. The story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is a case in point. Rightly understood, this is perhaps the most wonderful parable of all. It was never intended by its author to be taken for history, but literal-minded people did so take it, and with all sorts of absurd consequences. So, and this is something I remember my pastor teaching me in Sunday school, that don't take the Bible for facts, for historical facts. Take it as stories and lessons. And so, this guy, like I said, he's got a lot of the same beliefs that I have, and he seems more of a spiritual person. And, I don't know, I guess, you read it and tell me what you think, but I almost got out of this chapter that, because we always, as Christians, we always say, you have to go to church. If you're a Christian, you need to go to church. Well, he almost made it seem like you don't need to go to church. Now, I'm not telling you that not to go to church. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, what I mean is that, again, we need to live Christianity. Just because we go to church does not mean we're Christians, okay? Becoming a Christian and being a Christian means that you practice the principles in all of your affairs, okay? And so, some other things I want to talk about. I mean, for instance, and I went to a Christian school for 9 years of my life, and I didn't even realize that, the Sermon on the Mount was I think it was a 7-day or something series of preaches, from Jesus. And it was basically, he knew, his time was coming, and he wanted to dot his I's and cross his T's and finish up his teaching. And so, the first part is the Beatitudes. Okay, that's chapter 2. And what he does is he goes and dissects almost everything. He does dissect all the Beatitudes, and blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Well, here's the thing that I didn't know, is that a lot of the things in the Bible, like poor in spirit. Well, we think of that as a negative thing. A lot of things in the Bible, words in the Bible, meant something completely different back then than they do now. For instance, poor in spirit, and let me get exactly to be poor in spirit does not in the least mean the thing we call poor-spirited nowadays. To be poor in spirit means to have emptied yourself of all desire to exercise personal self-will, and what is just as important, to have renounced all preconceived opinions and the wholehearted search of God. It means to be willing to set aside your present habits of thought, your present views and prejudices, your present way of life, if necessary, to jettison. And man, I'll tell you what, pause real quick. I read for about 6 hours last night, and I only got 56 pages in. This book is very deep, okay? It's very deep. It's something that I had to reread almost every paragraph, and there's tons of words that I had to look up. But anyways, jettison, I forget exactly what that means. To throw off, I think, is what it meant, to discard, to get rid of, okay? In fact, anything and everything that can stand in the way of your finding God, okay? And it goes on to talk about the story of the rich young man who missed one of the greatest opportunities in history and turned away sorrowfully because he had great possessions, okay? And yeah, I mean, and this book, of course, goes into the teachings of Napoleon Hill, the teachings of Earl Nightingale, where our thoughts control our lives, okay? And like attracts like. So if you're thinking positive thoughts, you're going to attract positive things. If you're thinking negative thoughts, you're going to attract negative things. But something that Emmett Fox teaches in this book that I have not seen other people, well, Napoleon Hill touches on it, but because Napoleon Hill had such a wide audience of different people with different beliefs, he had to be, kind of careful on what he talked about. But, when you see prosperity, this is another thing that meant something different back in the days of the Bible. When you see prosperity mentioned in the Bible, what Jesus is talking, or at least, I'm sorry, in Jesus' teaching, what Jesus is talking about is prosperity through prayer. Because if you have good prayer, if you have success in prayer, then all the material things will come to you. Okay, and so we need to, when we read our major definite purposes and our goals, we need to do it in prayer. And something that really hit me last night and I thought was just powerful. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is the Beatitude, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And this is another example of a word that doesn't mean today what it meant back then. The true significance of the word meek in the Bible is a mental attitude for which there is no other single word available. And it is this mental attitude which is the secret of prosperity. Again, prosperity means success in prayer, or success in prayer. Okay, it says that. It is a combination of open-mindedness, faith in God, and the realization that the will of God for us is always something joyous and interesting and vital, and much better than anything we could think of for ourselves. This state of mind also includes a perfect willingness to allow this will of God to come about in whatever divine wisdom considers to be best, rather than in some particular way that we have chosen for ourselves. And I just thought that was awesome, man. It's like God's will for you is something way better than something you could ever imagine. So if you're going through some struggles right now, if you're not where you necessarily want to be, okay, realize that God has a plan for you. And if you allow Him to work in your life and, to do God's will, it's going to be way better than you ever could have imagined it. And, a perfect example in my life is what happened recently with me having to resign from the Empower Network, which, was the very first business opportunity I joined online, something I invested thousands and thousands of dollars in, okay? And sorry, a train's coming, guys. Let me pause this real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to wrap this up here because we're almost at 15 minutes. But, when me having to quit the Empower Network, resign from the Empower Network because I believe that's what God was telling me to do. But it was not easy. It was not an easy thing to do. And, I've even not second-guessed myself, but just wondered, man, did I do the right thing? And I know that I did. I know that I did. It's human nature to question. to question things. But I know that because of the success that I've had in prayer, I've developed a connection with God, and I know that's what He was telling me to do. And more every day, I'm seeing that oh man, it was definitely the right decision. Okay, it was definitely what God was telling me to do. So that's all I have today, guys. Make sure you pick up this book. Okay, I'll maybe find it on Amazon and put a link below this video or something. Pick up this book, guys. It's incredible. I'm telling you, it's up there in importance with Think and Grow Rich, you know, and any other books that you've heard me talk about, Psycho-Cybernetics. This, to me, is probably the most important book, especially if you have any type of belief in God. Okay, so that's all I got, guys. Click the link below. Get started with us today. I mean, this is what we're about, guys. We are about developing you into a better person, helping you to make money online, okay? Because God does want prosperity for us. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, because this is a perfect example of how, you know, things get messed up through the grapevine, okay? And it's, you know, if you've ever heard that money is the root of all evil, okay, well, Paul teaches that love of money is the root of all evil. So they left out a very, an extremely, I mean, that changes the whole meaning of that. Love of money is the root of all evil, okay? God wants us to be prosperous, to you know, to have everything we want in life, to be happy and joyous, all right? So click the link below and, you know, get God's will for you. This is what God wants for you. He wants you to be prosperous. He wants you to be financially, you know, stable. Okay? He doesn't want you to suffer. He doesn't want you to be broke. He doesn't want you to be unhappy. Okay? So that's all I got, guys. Dave Bowen, signing off.